As the Jews increased and multiplied, the Egyptians began hating them. Rashi comments that it wasn't just that the Egyptians hated the Jews, the Egyptians began hating their lives. Because the Egyptians saw the Jews and because they hated them, actually what happened was the Egyptians hated their own lives. And as a result of that, the pasuk says, the verse says, Vaikutsu, they hated their existence. This Rashi is difficult to understand. I understand if an Egyptian hates a Jew, he hates the Jew. But why would an Egyptian hate himself? It doesn't seem to make sense. And I believe the answer to this can be understood with a simple observation. Most of us are skilled at reading social cues, at reading facial expressions. I can easily tell if you're happy or sad based on the position of your face, based on your gestures. But some children don't have that naturally. And psychologists have devised methods of teaching how to read facial gestures. And one of the techniques is they'll take many pictures of people with different expressions. You see, when the lips are turned up this way, the person's happy. When they're faced down this way, they're sad. And they'll show the children the different positions of the facial muscles, and therefore will teach them what emotions that person is actually expressing. Most of the pictures that you'll see, you could easily distinguish the emotion. There are two emotions that are very difficult to distinguish. If you see a picture of a man who's angry, and if you see a picture of a man who's hateful, it's very difficult to distinguish what emotion he's feeling. Happy and sad are easily to distinguish, but anger and hatred both are very similar. The one thing they have in common, though, is neither one are smiling. And there's an important observation here. If you're angry, you're not happy. If you see a face of a man who's angry, you're seeing a man who's displeased. And if you see a picture of a man who's hateful, you're seeing a man who's also very, very discontent. Anger and hatred are not pleasant states of mind. I believe what Rashi is sharing with us is a fundamental concept. The Egyptians saw the Jews and they hated them. Oh, there's that dirty Jew, that smelly Jew again. Wherever I go, I see Jews. And Jews on the banks, and Jews are in politics. Wherever I go, I see Jew and Jew and Jew. And because of the hatred that the Egyptians felt for the Jew, their whole day was spent with a sense of loathing, feeling a sense of anger, feeling that detestable Jew is there again. The Egyptians hated their own lives because they made their own lives miserable. And I believe there's a fundamental principle here. The Torah is a system of self-perfection. All of the mitzvahs of the Torah help a person become greater, bigger, and obviously have tremendous advantages. A side benefit of leading a Torah lifestyle is that you will be happier. Why? Because much of the Torah teaches us to be generous, magnanimous. If a person acts in a forgiving, generous way, they will be happier. If a person acts in a spiteful, angry, vindictive way, they will fill their lives with abject unhappiness. And ultimately, if a person follows the Torah system, they grow, they become more perfect, they become a different human being, and they enjoy their life here to a much greater extent. What the Egyptians did was ruin their life. If a person trains himself in the opposite, trains himself in being generous, caring for others, they enjoy their life to a much greater extent. They enjoy happiness, fulfillment, they live a life of contentment.